Happy New Year, and you're leaning on the... Wait, is it too late to say Happy New Year, maybe?
No.
No? Yeah, it's still good? It's not the cutoff time? Okay.
No.
Happy New Year, and you're leaning on the pitchfork with Trace, Matt, and...
Reg.
All right, yeah, Happy New Year.
There we go.
That's
Our first podcast after the big celebration of the silly season called Christmas.
Yeah, it's, I'm still recovering from that, I feel.
Yeah.
So.
You can't be anywhere near it yet because you haven't got all your MasterCard bills. So
That's true. That's true. They always say January and February is the worst months, right? Because of that.
Yeah.
You had a good Christmas, Reg?
Yeah, it was excellent. Actually, it was. We had the grandkids. Now I got 3 grandchildren, 2 boys and a little granddaughter. She's 3.5, crowding 4, and they make the whole season. They make it worthwhile getting up Christmas morning and wrapping everything. My wife does all of the shopping. Thank God for Gail, because if we didn't have her, there wouldn't be any Christmas at our house. I can tell you right there. And I do the wrapping.
Oh,
and I'm damn good at it too, you know.
I hate
That's a
wrapping.
good skill to have.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't mind it. I like doing it. And we fill stockings. Gail does all the stocking stuffers, and we get things like shaving creams and razor blades, and the kids get toothbrushes and toothpaste and soap and shampoos and body washes and stuff like that.
So I'm not the only one that puts that in stockings as
Oh,
well,
gosh,
right? Okay.
no.
It's perfect.
Nice.
When I was a kid, we used to get apples and oranges and stuff like that.
No lumps of coal, though, right?
I never got a lump of coal. No, I never did. I was a great kid, actually.
So before we go any further, let's introduce Reg Gamble. Reg is a little bit of an icon here in Almont. He was he's a friend to both the living and the deceased, as I like to say. Reg was a funeral director for how many years?
I went into funeral service in 1969.
And you retired about...
I retired believe it or not, about 4 or 5 years ago, but I still go in occasionally. There's the occasional person that says,
well, because
the old man is around, and would he come in? And Josh usually says, yes, I'm sure he'll come in if he's able to, and what have you, but you better be braced to the fact that he might fall asleep during your meeting or something.
Because you were there for Jim Lowry's funeral and that.
And
so
that's of course is Neil's.
Yeah.
Is Neil's father, and I know all the Lowrys very, very well. And even though you're a funeral director and you do this for a living, in a small community, you still have a lot of friends.
Yeah.
And when they have a death in their family, it's just something you want to go to, you want to be at, you think you should be at, to support those people who supported you when you needed support for different things.
For sure.
Jimmy was like that, and the Lowrys were all like that. Sandy and of course Neil and Bonnie, and they're and now that Neil's got 3 kids, and 2 of them at least right now are heavy into sports with the canoe clubs and doing very, very well, exceptionally well. And the other fellow, I think, is going to be an actor.
There you go.
So, and he's good, and he's got a beautiful voice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I need to hear him sing. Yeah.
So I'll be honest with you. When Matt and I first talked about doing this, and then we thought, we have 3 people. Well, there'd just be 2 of us. So we decided 2, and then we thought, we'll have guests the odd time. You were the very first person I thought of.
This is true. Yes.
Yeah.
You said...
I said, we got to get Reg on.
Reg's name right away.
Because, you're a bit of a character. You're a well-loved character.
That's nice to hear.
and that you know how to talk, and you've got lots of stories and that.
I'm sure there'll be a lot of people whose funeral I handled would be glad to see that their dad or mother was handled by a character. So please don't consider that as an insult. Hope it's not.
No, it's not at all. Not at all. You know that.
Yeah.
Anyways, so this is great. This will be fun. This is so when I called Reg and kind of informed him that he was going to do a podcast, I didn't really ask him. I just said you didn't know what a podcast was.
Had no idea.
And
something that I thought peas came out
of. So here he is. I'll take a picture.
Yeah, we're thrilled to have you. This is
I'm going to take a picture and I'll put it on our TikTok account.
What's that?
I agree. What is that?
And that. But anyways, thank you, Reg,
Thank you
for coming. This is great, and we appreciate it. And it's, believe me, an hour will go by quite fast. You'll be
Hopefully.
surprised how fast this will go by.
Mm-hmm.
How many pee breaks do I get?
As many as you need.
Anytime.
Anytime.
Don't forget you got the headphones on.
Yeah.
Just take them off, and you won't be much.
And remember, these microphones pick up a lot, so be quiet. Shut the door. Should we do shout-outs?
Sure, yeah. Okay. We'll start off with, we'd like to extend our gratitude and thanks to the North Lanark Regional Museum for their support and letting us record in this wonderful space. Absolutely, love recording here, the tea room. It's a little chilly today.
It's a little chilly. It's a little later
everywhere.
than we normally do it because thanks to these two fine gentlemen, they waited for me while I Mom and I thought out water bowls at the.
This is dedication for podcasting right here. It is cold and windy out there, and we're a little later than usual too.
Yeah. Any other shout-outs?
Big props to the spirit of this museum. I guess we got I think the spirit. The ghosts that we were talking about before we were recording, I think they're becoming a fan of this podcast.
I think so.
Yeah. So
I agree.
Just,
What's making you say that?
we're not being disturbed too much, and I don't know. I feel the energy. I feel a good a vibe.
So it's not me.
All right. Well, I have a couple of shout-outs. I'd like to do a shout-out to the snowplow drivers.
Oh yes.
And that plow our roads and salt them. The lads, and I don't know if there's any females on the roads department or not for the Mississippi Mills. There might be. Anyways, the people who do it do a wonderful job. And they plow the roads nice and wide, which makes a big difference, especially out in the country where we are. Like, there's nothing worse than trying to drive down a road that's been plowed and it's still narrow and there's cars coming. You're trying to go around a corner and
you're white knuckling as you go
Exactly.
by.
And you're pulling a wagon with a big load of hay on it.
Exactly.
Even in the winter.
Exactly, yeah. So, so definitely the and also the snowplow drivers for like City of Ottawa and everything like that. It's a thankless job. It really is.
Yeah.
Like, but I'll tell you what, on a bad day, there's nothing I like to be behind more than a snowplow. I'll never pass a snowplow.
Never pass a snowplow. No one should.
Nope.
No. Well, I was taking Gail to the hospital for our second child, Jake, and Gail didn't tell me that she'd been in labor since noon, and we were headed into Ottawa in a snowstorm, of all things, and it was about 4:30 in the afternoon when she told me. And so I ended up behind 3 snowplows on the Queensway, trying to get to the civic, trying to get to the civic hospital. So I wasn't too happy with them. I mean, they were doing the. I wouldn't have got there at all probably if they hadn't been sort of ahead of me. But they had no idea that I had a lady in labor behind me.
No. The other one I'd like to do a shout out to is our fire department. They 2 days in a row they had 2 calls out, house fire in Pakenham, and then yesterday the one on Walter Bradley Road where the barn fire. They got the horses out, but unfortunately some chickens.
The chickens,
died. But always a shout out to our fire department. These are a bunch of people that volunteer their time. I mean, they get compensated to a point, but not
enough,
not near as much as they should, and they. They're at their other jobs when they get the calls, and
I see them at the funeral home, and one of their lot or some member of the family of one of their crew or some member of their fire department who used to be and was long retired. They end up at the funeral home in a body, and they come out. They're all dressed in their uniforms, and they look pretty darn sharp.
Oh, yeah.
They look pretty impressive. They really impress me anyway. I think we're damn lucky that we've got the people we have got in our fire department too. I'm glad you said that, because
same here.
It needs to be said more often.
Yeah. Well, actually, on our TikTok page, I posted a thing about the flashing, because that's how I always end our TikTok, is reminding people, if you're in the rural area
Green flashing light.
and you see a vehicle come up behind you or coming towards you with a green flashing light, pull over. And it's had like almost 700 views. So, the fire department for sure. They do a lot for this community besides just saving lives and fighting fires.
Can you imagine being out tonight, pouring water or something, handling water and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. So
For sure. You got any shout outs?
Do I?
Yeah.
Well, my wife, I have to say, not say my wife, I'm damn lucky that I've married the woman I married, I can tell you, or that she married me. And she said yes, because I wanted to feel her pulse, just to make sure she was still around,
Gail is a retired nurse, right?
Yeah, retired orthopedic nurse. Actually, she was one of the, I think there were only about 10 or 12 across Canada when she went ahead and got her orthopedic papers. I guess that's what you call it. She's a graduate of the Civic. Lifelong supporter too, because there's no place like the Civic as far as she's concerned. Although I was damn glad to be part of the Alma General Hospital. I tell you, if I had a shout out, I'd have to say something really impressive about the hospital, the Alma General, and the people who work in it, who work there during COVID. Who put up with people like me as patients. That's not an easy guy to put up with, for sure. But so my wife leads me into the nursing field, and my grandchildren. So you have to stop, doing that sort of thing. Sound like some guy on the Academy Awards.
Start playing the music. There we go.
Yeah.
All right, so there's our shout outs.
Okay, well, thank you, Trace. Also, shout out to Trace for getting us Tim Hortons.
Yeah, you're a little late for Equator. Equator was closed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Actually, I'd like to do a shout out to you too, because as I quickly just mentioned before, we're a little later doing this. It's like 7:30 now.
That's fine. All right.
The barn was frozen, and I went home to help my mom thaw out the barn.
And we would
finish the chores.
that's well, we'll get more into that later, I think, right?
How did you do that? What do you use?
Hot water.
Oh.
So
no hair dryers?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
No, well, you could, but then you have to have the cord and everything, and the hot water runs. But mom had the water bowls thawed out, but the back is still frozen. But no, somebody was asking me one time, like, do you use a propane? Like, we don't use any torch. Like, that's just asking.
I was wondering,
That's asking for trouble.
No.
Okay.
No.
Lastly, we'd just like to thank our good listeners for tuning in. Without you, there would be no podcast. So
there you go.
Here we are.
Yeah.
So this is our 7th?
I believe it's our 7th.
It's hard to believe.
A lot of people told us they really liked the last one.
Yeah,
the best,
that's good. Yeah.
I think it was
thank
because
you for tuning into the podcast.
I gave the shout out that you listened to our podcast while you're in the bathtub soaking. I think that's what made that podcast.
I did. Because I had to know what the hell a podcast
was. There you go. Yeah. So, last time we talked about. If somebody had a booger in their nose, would you tell them the fly was down and everything like that? Bad breath.
Oh yeah, that's
bad breath is a serious thing that's happening among people.
Yeah,
that's because of what they're eating, I guess.
What they're eating. So, like, what do you do when you're talking to somebody and they have bad breath?
Tell them.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, or say you don't mind if I back away from you a little bit before I keel over. So you don't even.
And there's some wicked bad breaths out there.
Yeah, you definitely. It's tough, especially if they're a close talker. Yeah, that's there is some bad breath. I've been accused from students that you're like, "Oh, your breath stinks." I'm like, "Well, I just had like 2 coffees. I can understand that."
So do you think doing the and trying breathing under your hand and cupping it and then trying to smell it? Do you think that actually works? Do you think you actually get to smell your bad breath?
I think you might. Yeah.
Yeah, if it's bad enough.
Well, it's certainly easier to do that than have somebody tell you.
True.
First of all, you have to have enough nerve to tell somebody they've got bad breath, and but I tell people, holy lifting, what did you eat for lunch,
I think if you always have halitosis, right, you're not going to notice if it's bad or not, right?
I knew somebody that had halitosis, and it was awful.
Yeah, you're not going to know. So it's like one of those things. Like some people, they can't tell if their house smells, right? Because you're always living in it, right?
True enough.
Anyway.
True enough. Yeah. All right. So if I ever have bad breath, you guys are going to tell me. That's good to know.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
What about me?
Yeah. No,
I have students that definitely tell me. So I think it's hilarious.
You can do that with a kind of a humorous way too. Without saying, "Oh God, your breath stinks." Oh, geez. I used to have a guy that used to come up to me and say, "Your breath smells like an Indian wrestler's jockstrap." So I'm headed off to right away. I'm in trouble, because if this is going wherever the hell it's going, who knows,
I thought.
Anyway, most people are not they're from the States, and they'll have a hard time finding me to shoot me. So.
Yeah. Sometimes even just offering a mint. Don't even say anything. You offer a mint. That's the best way of doing it, perhaps. But I don't know.
Now you realize tomorrow everybody's going to come up and offer us mints at work.
Perfect. I'll take them. I love mints.
All right. So bad breath. It's one of those things that's out there. It's like something stuck in people's teeth.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than talking to somebody that got a big wad of lettuce or bread.
The lettuce is the worst one. Yeah. There's a little sesame seed or a poppy seed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what do you call that? Because if somebody has booger in their nose, you call it bat in the cave. Is there a word for?
No, I don't know. I don't know. You want me to ask ChatGPT?
Sure. So we asked ChatGPT. Which is the AI.
Actually, it's been acting weird lately.
It's not the artificial insemination. It's the artificial intelligence.
Sorry, I'm going to have to... Just give me a sec here.
Okay. So, while Matt's doing that, teeth. Before a person's buried...
Okay, hold on.
Do you take out their teeth, or do they go with them?
No, go with them.
Go with them?
Yeah.
Unless people ask for them to be donated or something. Would they donate dentures?
Can't donate their teeth. Dentures are all made with you put impressions.
That's true.
Of a mouth. They're all made.
Maybe somebody wants to keep.
Well, I guess maybe George Washington might have. I'm reading an article on. I get a book called magazines called "The Life and Death of." And they'll give you the life and death of George Washington. I'm reading right now, and they'll talk. Elvis Presley just finished the Pope, and Lincoln, John Denver, people like that. So they talk about the life of that person in this magazine, and then they talk about how that person died, who handled the funeral, and how it all unfolded.
What do you do with these magazines when you're done?
Well, that's great.
I have them at home. I just, and they're expensive to buy. They're producing this. I don't know if they make them anymore, actually, or if they do them anymore.
And they're called The Life and Death of?
Called The Life and Death of whoever.
Yeah.
Funerals of the Famous is what it's called.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah. So it's if you're in the funeral business, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So So where the hell was I? I was starting to talk. You started me off.
About dentures.
Oh, dentures. So whatever you have, pacemakers are the only things that you need to remove when somebody dies.
Especially if they're cremated. because
cremated.
they can
Yes,
be
only cremated. You can
So-
be buried with them.
Yeah, so I learned about this because there's a funeral director that does a TikTok, and I follow him, and he has interesting facts all the time. And just the other day, he was talking about it because they can explode.
That's right.
Oh,
yeah. When they get to a certain temperature, they have
The
I think
lithium
it's-
batteries.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, and they have plutonium in them.
Because,
some
yeah,
of them.
more than just a pretty face and a fat ass. I know the odd thing.
And that what happens with those things if you don't take them out? Anybody who's arranging a funeral, if a funeral director is going to ask them if they're going to be cremated, does your dad or your aunt or whatever do they have a pacemaker in? And they ask that question because they will explode on when they get when they come in contact with extreme heat. And so if you signed a certificate that said no, he doesn't have a pacemaker in, and he did, and it exploded, they would hold you responsible for the retort. That's the furnace, if you will, that they do the cremation in, and they're about $200,000, somewhere around those. So it's not a thing that you want to get stuck with. Mm-mm. And they also hold you responsible or liable for anybody who's operating the retort at the time that the explosion takes place. So it's a pretty important document, and if and we're charged with the responsibility of removing those and of asking that question, because if we don't ask that question, the ultimate responsibility comes back on us because we didn't do that, and so it's important. It's an important thing. Yeah. So
I got so many questions asked.
Has there ever been a time where they lied about not having a pacemaker?
I don't know why they would. There's
know,
no
exactly.
advantage to it.
Yeah, or they didn't know, maybe.
We have, we remove the pacemakers, and we keep them at home and at the funeral home in containers that are, where you have things that are not conducive to the atmosphere, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so we end up shipping them back to the maker of the.
Because can they be reused?
No, not to my knowledge. Right? Anyway. Maybe the outside case can be, but by the time they disarmed it and
the problem might have been damage done or whatever.
Yeah.
I was joking with my gram because my gram had a pacemaker and I take her into the hospital, and they the way they did the checkup was they put the clips on her chest and then they put it through the phone.
I have one. I should be careful how you talk to me because if I explode right here.
So do they still do that? Do they
Yeah.
and they hooked up to the phones and then they can read it through the
Really?
phone line?
No. Well, I think you can now, but I'm an old goat, so I maybe I have to wind mine up every once in a while. I don't know.
Wait, but you just got yours how many years ago?
I had 3 open heart surgeries, so let's see, it's probably about 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah, see, Graham's been gone. Yeah. Graham will be gone, I think, 9 years this July. I think it's been 9 years. Gosh, it's 9 years. And she had hers like way before that.
Yeah. So anyway, and so mine, they just, I go into the pacemaker clinic and they just kind of throw a pad over my shoulder and they read it on a computer, and then they'll tell me, okay, we're going to speed it up, and they speed the thing up, make it go faster, and then they're going to slow it right down.
We just always went to the Almont Hospital.
Yeah, I think I can too, but I guess I've just gone into.
You just want the outing.
Well, I've always the Heart Institute's at the Civic, and my wife's usually driving. So there you go.
We're going to go past the Almont Hospital. We're going to go straight to the Civic.
Yeah, no. So and they test me. They've tested me at the Almont Hospital when I was a patient there, and they can do pretty much anything at the Almont Hospital. It's a great institution.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
and a guy like Ray Timmons needs to get a big pat on the back because he sat on the board with me, years and years ago, when we finally decided to hire him, and Ray was a go-getter. He knew, what doors to knock on and how to knock on them and how to get attention, and for us to have a lot of the things that we have in the Alma General Hospital right now are thanks to Ray. And one of them is the Rosamond Wing, and Fairview Manor was one of his entities. Him and John Cochran.
Which wing is that? Sorry.
The Fairview Manor is right now. If you went out at the back of the hospital, you'll find the big octagon room. That's part of the original Fairview Manor.
Okay.
So like a nursing home.
Yeah. And then the new Fairview Manor is, it's kind of attached to it. They managed to make it all one hospital, one facility, which was really great. And I think Timmons started that thing and got it off the ground and rolling as well. So what it is and where it is right now is thanks in big part to Ray Timmons, and can't say that without including his wife and some of that, because when we were looking for doctors and what have you, there were many of them that got themselves wined and dined in the Timmons household, and that was June, making all kinds of meals and what have you, and so
just goes to show you, if you have a desire and a thought, it all just starts with a thought.
And that's right, and the brains to put it all together.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
Chat.
Oh yeah, okay, all right, yeah. So okay, hold on a sec.
What were we going to ask now? I can't remember.
I think I got it. Oh, hey, ChatGPT, what do you call it? Like the term or slang when someone has something stuck in their teeth?
Reg just wondering.
That's often called teeth lettuce.
Oh.
Teeth lettuce.
Teeth what?
Teeth lettuce.
Teeth lettuce. Okay, all right. Let's see what else they here. Let me. That's often called teeth lettuce, or just saying you've got something in your teeth. No universal slang, though. So say whatever you want. So I like teeth lettuce.
Teeth lettuce.
You got some teeth lettuce.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Should we do balderdash?
Sure.
All right. So I
Sounds
kind of explained this to Reg while we were setting up.
Yeah.
So you can listen to the two words and the definitions, and then a little while later we'll come back, and you can decide which definition you think is the real one. You go first, Matt.
Okay. The word would be gobbledygook. Gobbledygook. Okay. So the first definition: a secret 19th century surgical procedure where the tongues of convicted blasphemers were removed and replaced with molten lead to cleanse their sins.
Okay.
The second definition: gobbledygook. A mythical creature said to live inside vending machines, stealing your snacks and replacing them with disappointment.
Okay.
Gobbledygook. Third definition: a playful term for nonsense or meaningless language, often overly complicated or confusing.
All right. All right. Interesting. Okay. My word is Nicodonia. Nicodonia. Feeling of excitement or pleasure that you feel from anticipating a future success. Nicodonia. An instrument used in plastic surgery to make one's nose pointier. Nicodonia. An ancient European word used to describe the unsettling feeling of having to pass gas.
Okay.
So,
Well, that's interesting. I know what you call that in Glengarry County.
so that's the
More slang for that too, right?
that's
Yes,
right.
there is.
That's right. Backdoor trough. Oh no, yeah.
There's a whole bunch of them, but
For farts, yeah. Yeah. It doesn't matter though. Whenever you hear somebody fart, it's always funny.
it's always funny.
It always is.
Yeah.
It always is.
Unless you're really close to them.
Unless you're really close to them. Yeah. Yeah. No.
Poofy Buster.
Poofy. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's, anyways.
Orville Clemo used to call that, buddy, you got a hole in your muffler.
Oh man, these are good ones. I got to write them down.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's worse when you're trying to hold it.
Yeah.
Because you don't want it, and then you're trying to like let it just kind of squeak out little bit by little bit, and then it just kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
You're holding it for a long time. It's usually wet.
yeah,
So
yeah, exactly. That's when the air bubble goes up the crack.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. ChatGPT told us all about
Yeah,
that.
exactly, exactly. Anyways,
my mother used to call that if you wanted to have a bubble bath at night, she always fed you beans before you put you in the tub.
yeah, 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 yeah. It's one of those. It's always that worst feeling is when you have the gas and you can't get to the washroom and you're not sure if you should pass it because you, like you said, you're not sure if there's going to be like a squirt afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's. See, I told you we talk about everything on this.
Yeah, I can see that. I can understand why people would listen.
So the other thing was, unless you have something to...
No, I'm good. I'm good.
So Matt and I, it's a standing joke at work is when we come back from any holidays or anything like that, Matt and I avoid everybody because we don't like small talk of, like, hey, how was your holidays? And, like really like, unless we're really good friends with people, like, I really don't. Not that I don't care what people's holidays are like, but I really don't want to hear about your holidays. And you don't really want to hear about my holidays. So I came up with some tips on how to avoid people when you don't want to talk to them about their holidays. Reg is looking at me. I think this look of...
We must not like them or some damn
Well,
thing.
no, it's not that you don't like them, but it's small talk. And I just don't like small talk. You know what I mean?
But it has nothing to do with your holidays, then.
No.
Or the
you know, like-
people. Not even the people, but sometimes if you do it 20 times in a row. Then
Yeah,
it's,
exactly. It's just...
Oh,
it's,
God, can you imagine what happens when the people come into a funeral home and they come up to,
yeah.
what happened to George? Oh,
he died.
yeah, it's pretty obvious what happened, And she's got to go through this over and over and over
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
And I always feel sometimes that people who don't have funerals are really going to be subject to that when they rock into the supermarket. They go to buy an apple, and they end up talking about Uncle Charlie
Yeah.
over and over and over again. Whereas if they had a funeral, if you want to call it that, sort of getting it all over in one shot, and 8 out of 10 times first person that went through the line is going to tell the last guy anyway, and the last guy's going to tell somebody else, and they'll all know.
Yeah.
So it's
and then even then sometimes the story is not like,
No.
fell off the ladder and broke his neck turns into was ran over by a snowplow because
the
he
game
was
of telephone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the one tip I have is if you see somebody coming and you don't want to, you just pretend you're talking on your cell phone.
Okay. All right.
That's a good one, right? Like
you didn't always have that excuse.
no, not bend down and pretend you're tying your shoes.
Okay. All right.
Right? Or pretend you're looking at something or looking for something.
Okay. Yeah. I see a lot of people do that. I wonder if that's
Might
they're
be.
just avoiding
Yeah,
me.
it might be. I'll cross the street. Like if I'm not that I'm in town an awful lot, but I'll cross.
Look both ways.
Or if I'm at work, like I'll go down another hall or I'll slip into a classroom or something like that. Or tell them you're on your way. You have to. Sorry, I can't talk. Got a crisis downstairs. I gotta go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Small talk is annoying, Rich.
I just put a little sign over your shoulder that says, "Don't ask me about my vacation."
Well, so
There.
so when we got back to work on Monday, we had numerous people coming up to us and saying, "I'm not going to ask you how your holiday is," because we've already talked about this in one of the podcasts.
Yeah, but that's right. So you have a venue where you can say, "Don't ask me."
That's right.
Listen to the
Don't-
podcast.
Yeah, it's like sort of asking somebody how they feel after they've had their second or third heart operation. I feel just great. This is really good.
Nothing so much.
Everybody should have one or two of these.
So years ago when I just started getting into public education, I worked. There was a lady at this one school that I was at, and she thought she was a little better than me because she was a teacher and I was an EA, and she was fairly well off, and not that I'm not well off, but she thought she was much better. And if there's one character that I cannot stand of people is if anybody who thinks they're better than anybody else. My grandma always said you have to sit in the toilet and have a crap and wipe your ass like anybody else. So get over yourself.
I don't need to worry what I'm going to say here at all.
I don't think so.
Anyways, and she always, like, every time we'd be like, "Oh, Tracy, how was your, we went on, we went on a cruise and like this." Anyways, she asked me this one time and I'd had enough. So I went into full detail of how we had a calf that, we had to birth out that was dead. And I got into some very gory details and I mean, anyway, she never asked me again. So that fixed that. Never had to worry about it.
Yeah, that would do it. That's another little trick there.
Yeah, start talking gross stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, that's just my little thing.
I have to tell you, my father was a veterinarian. I've told you that coming in. And I've heard many, many stories about Dad going out on a call in the middle of the night. And back in his days when he was first starting out as in practice in Maxville and down in Glengarry County, a lot of calls that he went out and he went in a horse and cutter sort of thing, mighty cold. And I remember a lot of good stories about putting the insides back in a cow and all that sort of thing. And Dad, one night, I heard him on the phone in the room. He took a call in the middle of the night, and farmer was having trouble with the cow. The cow and I heard my father say, "How long's she been down?" And then there was a little quiet on the line, and then all of a sudden I hear him say, "What the hell do you mean she's been down since 3:00 this afternoon and you're calling me at 3:00 in the morning?" He said, "You better get your wallet out because this is going to be expensive." And he went to the farmer's house, and the farmer met him at the bottom of the lane. It was in the late spring, big snowstorm, cold as hell. And the farmer met him at the bottom of the lane, brought him up to the barn, and he had a coal oil lamp in the barn. And Dad said, "I need some hot water," and he went into the house and boiled some hot water, brought it out to my father. My father stripped down and went to work having the cow. And when he was finished, and with some success and what have you, the farmer said to him, "Well, Doc, how much do I owe you?" And Dad said, "Well, I felt a little sorry for him. I was a little rough on him when I first talked to him." And he said he's got no power in his barn. He had to go to the house and boil water in the wood stove. And so he said to the farmer, he said, "Oh, how does $20 sound?" And the farmer said, "Oh, that's okay, Doc. You can change 100. So, yeah. So...
Yeah, it sounds like something a farmer would do.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, that's great.
So how did you get into the undertaking business?
Actually, it was an accident. I was going to St. Pat's College in Ottawa, and I was looking for a summer job, and the funeral director in Maxville, where I lived, had a plumbing and heating business, and he always hired 2 or 3 students during the summer because the St. Lawrence Seaway was going through Cornwall, and he had contracts in there, and he was paying $1.50 an hour. It was pretty good money back then. So I called him and I asked him and he was a good friend of my father, so that didn't hurt me at all either. So anyway, I called him and he took me in for an interview. I told him I was interested lied to him, told him I was interested in the funeral business, and thought maybe that if I worked in the plumbing and heating business, I might get a job in the funeral business and find out whether I liked it or not. And he hired me. And I was petrified then. I said, "What the hell am I going to do when the first funeral call comes in?" And it, of course it did. And I get into it and I liked it and I stayed. So just pretty much as simple as that. I bought the funeral home in 1973 when I was 28 years old.
Oh, nice.
So with nothing, no money at all. Thank goodness for my parents, and thank goodness for Mrs. Comba, because she took back a second mortgage, and they were pretty good to me, and I had a wife that worked all the time that we owned the funeral home and made very good money. And if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't be there. I mean, no question about it at all. And in the midst of that, she had 2 kids. So and it was a team venture. There's no question about that at all. So yeah.
So what do you think over the years? Where do you think the biggest change has been?
Well, cremation has been probably we're doing a lot more cremations than we ever did when I first went into funeral service.
Yeah.
Maybe if we did, 2 or 3 cremations in a year, that's all we do. And now we probably do half to 2/3 of our business is cremation and ends in cremation. So, and that has some repercussions down the road. I think at one time they thought that money entered the thing. There was a lot less money to be cremated and what have you. But it's getting to the point where it's getting more and more expensive to do that, because whether you had visitation at the funeral home with a cremation or not, or whether you have it with a full casket, you still have all of the expenses of having the facility there and all that sort of thing. And
Can you rent a casket if you're going to be cremated?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And they have now, we're moving now into talking about things changing into something called green cremations, where you can have a casket that it does not have any contaminants in it. It doesn't have any carcinogenics in the building of it and what have you, in the glues and that sort of thing. And so we have a lot more of those than we used to carry at any one point in time. But yeah, absolutely, you can rent them, and you wouldn't know the difference between a rental casket and a solid mahogany. You wouldn't tell it unless I showed it to you. You wouldn't know what the difference was at all.
You're going to be cremated?
I always said that, but now for some reason I'm thinking I want a casket, but I always thought that was way more expensive than just being. And I always thought it was like the embalming process, where I don't know if
that's a portion of it, all right. There's a portion of the expense, all right.
Yeah.
The other thing that happens with funerals where you don't want the embalming process, and you want direct cremations, is that you don't have the opportunity of, let's say part of your family lived in London or British Columbia or something, and they want to say goodbye to mother or dad. They don't have the opportunity to do that, because you can't keep especially in the summer, for obvious reasons, you can't keep an unembalmed body around for very long.
No, yeah.
How long can you?
24 hours is probably
hours.
safe.
That's it, eh?
Depending on how they died and where they died and how long they were dead before.
Yeah.
Before
how
before
they die is probably a big thing.
Yeah.
Like if they're in a nasty accident and you're dealing with,
or they were dead for 2 or 3 days before.
Beforehand,
They've already the decomposition process has already started. Yeah.
Are you going to be cremated?
That's good. Yeah, I think I am.
Yeah.
I didn't think I ever was going to be, but yeah, I think I am. But I already have it bought.
You get a special.
I bought it while I could still get it wholesale.
Yeah.
Number one, and I bought it and put it on my credit card so I could get the travel points. so out of the thing, and it's sitting there. It's a nice piece of walnut. It's a nice piece of wood.
Well, that's good.
It's sitting in the room, and I've told the boys they better not put a scratch on it before the flame hits it. Because I'll fire them. I don't have an awful lot of clout, but I still got a little bit like that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure.
I don't know. I've always thought about it because death has always fascinated me. It always has. And one thing I've always said that what I want to do when I retire is to me, nobody should ever die alone.
No, I agree.
And I've always said that I would like to volunteer and go in and sit with people.
They have people who do that.
I know. I'd love to.
Yeah.
I'd love to.
Yeah. A lot of those are associated with the churches.
Yeah.
So yeah.
In the mid 2000s, I binge watched the HBO show 6 Feet Under. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
What is 6 Feet Under?
It's a TV. It's a really good drama show on HBO.
How the hell can you not know that? Not know what a podcast is and don't know what.
But after I watch it, I was convinced. I'm like, I think I want to work in a funeral home. I've always
wanted to. Yeah, I think.
Hey, so does that show portray the biz?
Is that the one with
accurately?
the brothers or the one?
Yeah,
okay, I know who you're talking
the guy
about.
from Dexter's.
Yeah,
in it.
yeah. Okay, I know.
Yeah, yeah, and you're right. You first of all, you've got to want to help people when they're really having a tough time. And you know, if you lose a son or a daughter in a car accident, or through an unexpected death, sometimes it's just as a side track to COVID sort of thing. You have pneumonia or something like that, and then you contract COVID. On top of it, you're in big trouble, sort of thing. And you don't necessarily have to be an old person for that to happen. And and no father or mother should have to bury their child.
Yeah.
My grandma said it was the worst thing she ever had to do.
Mm-hmm.
It is a tough thing, and it's a tough thing for any. I don't think you'll find a funeral director anywhere that after he takes that first call sits back and says, "I wish to hell this would go away. I don't want to do this." And we're all like that. I don't want to do it either. But somebody needs them to take them by the shoulders and kind of steer them through the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have to say goodbye, and they have to say goodbye in their own way. And that's our job.
Yeah.
That's and you won't be worth a damn at it if you don't feel that way going into it.
Yeah, no, it's certainly
You
something
have to care.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I
agree. Yeah.
I remember when my uncle passed away, I left the hospital and came home to tell my gram, and she had this. It was like a wolf howl, like it was like an awful cry. Mm-hmm. And then when I worked at the group homes, a young lad who was there for a weekend for respite passed away, and his parents arrived, and when we told them, because we couldn't get hold of them, she had the same cry of sorrow, like exact same as my grand's, exact same.
Yeah, it's a tough road to walk. And Alan Barker once told me that he lost a son, and tragically, and he taught me one of the greatest lessons I ever learned. He taught me a lot of things, actually. But one of the things that he taught me is he said, you should never say to a family, "Oh, I know how you must feel. I know how I'd feel if I lost my." He said, "You don't have a clue until you've walked a mile in my shoes."
Yeah, no,
and you don't.
No,
and I never said that to anybody again. I always remembered that in the back of my head. I have no idea what they're going through. I can imagine.
The only thing I could think that would be worse than that is a child gone missing and you never know what's wrong, like what's
and you never find them.
Yeah. No, my God, we get really morbid in this. We always end up talking about death.
Yeah, no, it is true. I find sometimes, speaking of going to a wake or a funeral, and usually people say, "I'm so sorry" or "my condolences," and I feel. I don't know. I feel anxiety a little bit before, because I don't know what to say. I don't want to say the same thing everyone's saying, but then I also don't want to say something that I'll regret saying. It's hard. It's tricky.
Yeah. And I think you're saying, I don't think there are any magical words to say to anybody when you're going through the process like that, other than, what goes a long way? A smile and a hug.
Yeah.
It goes a long, long way.
It's true.
And,
Absolutely.
they know. They know when that you're having a hard time, when you can't sort of say the words, they know you're having a hard time too. So
no, for sure.
And no man, it doesn't matter, it's another thing. The reason I think funerals are beneficial is that no man is an island. Nobody went through this life. They don't live till they're 80 years old or 100 years old or even 60 years old without having had some impact on somebody, on some people. And some people have a larger impact on communities than others, but everybody has somebody who cares.
Yeah.
And they need the right to say goodbye to your father, your mother, and what have you. But, and your children have friends and they care about their friends. Their father's dead and they want to come and see their friend, whose father is dead, and let them know that they're there. If they need them for anything, and they get an opportunity to do that at a funeral, where if funerals are sort of dispatched without any of sort of ceremony at all, they don't have that opportunity.
Yeah, no, you need to say goodbye.
They're denied that. So
I would say though there is some etiquette though at a wake.
Oh, there is.
And one of the things is you don't stand and talk to somebody in the lineup for like 25 minutes.
Yeah.
See, I think in the bigger cities, the traditional wakes are slowly, and even with us, I think in small towns they're not as common as they used to be now. Usually it's a celebration. Sometimes it's celebration of life or whatever. It used to be like 2 nights.
It used to be open casket all the time.
Yeah.
Open casket, yeah.
And I'm seeing that sort of trend away.
But I'm surprised how many kids, how many teenagers haven't been to a funeral.
You're right.
Like
You're right, and this is one of the reasons, that they're not exposed to death in the same way. They don't have they don't have the opportunity to say goodbye to Grandpa. He died in the hospital, or he died in a nursing home, or something like that, and he's gone.
Yeah,
and and I've said that to a number of people. I had they're both dead now, so I won't give you names, but they both wanted to be dispatched with no ceremony, no anything, or anything like that. They didn't think that they were going to put they had two girls, and they didn't want to put them through the process of the funeral, and all that sort of thing. And I said, is this really what you want to do? And he said, yeah. And I said, can I ask you a question? I asked him the question first. And I said, so, Anne goes out to the store. This is his wife. Anne goes out to the store to buy a quart of milk or whatever sort of thing, and you never see her again. How do you feel about that? And he said, well, what do you mean? Oh, I said, she goes to the store. She has a massive heart attack in the store. She dies. Then the instructions you're giving me is take her out, have her cremated right away and everything. You never see her again. You have a daughter that's living in the States. And she used to babysit for us. So I said, when was the last time you saw her? And he said, at Christmas. So I said, how do you feel if you never see her again? Right now. And he said, well, I don't know. I never thought about that. Well, I said, think about it, because that's what you're telling me to do. You're telling me to take you out, have you cremated. Nobody gets a chance to say goodbye. Nobody has the last chance to see Dad, to say goodbye, or anything of that nature. You're gone.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a death is a fascinating thing. It really is. I was joked with my gram that I wanted everybody to get an envelope, and first of all, I was told by Graham that I wanted to be taken out to the song of "The Devil Went Down to Georgia."
Yeah, you have a couple of funny requests. Okay, go on.
Which she'd get really bad at me about, everybody got an envelope and they opened it up and it'd say, "Crack a joke, have a smoke, thanks for coming." But I always tell my friends, like I've told you this, that if something ever happens to me, the day of my funeral, after it's all over with, you guys got to go out and you got to get a dead end, wrong way, and no exit signs, and stick them on my grave. And when I was a kid, I made my mom promise me that if something happened to me, I wouldn't be buried in a dress. and that she would stand at the foot of my casket, and I'd have a nice big flower on me, and then she would hold it, and when people came to pay respect, she'd press it, and a little bottle of water would squirt out at them.
Was it you that showed me the video of the guy who pre-recorded
Oh,
himself
yeah,
trapped?
Yeah.
What?
Oh, there's a video of over in Ireland. I think the nephew was the only one who was in on it.
Yeah.
And so this gentleman, he knew he was dying, I'm assuming. Anyways, he recorded himself. And it shows, so the nephew's recording on this phone, they're all around the grave. And all of a sudden you hear like, hello up there. Hello, is anybody there? And everybody's kind of like, I think that's great. I think it's perfect.
It is good. Oh, I wish we...
I had a buddy, talking about that, I had a buddy that we had a cottage on the Ottawa River just before I moved to Almont. And we couldn't afford to put plumbing into the cottage, so we had outdoor poopers. So we had a big party at the cottage one weekend, and Porky, this friend of mine, recorded. Back in those days, it was a cassette, and he put a little speaker in the bathroom underneath the hole.
Yeah.
One of the girls went in to use the bathroom, and he flipped on the switches and he said, Hey, I'm painting down here. so I hear the story. I've heard that story before.
It's a great place to be painting. Oh my gosh.
I personally, I think it's great. So here it is. Here I so you hear the bagpipes playing.
Wonderful music.
Oh, yes.
I'll just fast forward it
In Ireland, the bagpipes.
Let me out! Hello? Hello?
Oops.
We get the idea, though. That's hilarious. That is a funny prank.
That is a good one. Yeah.
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 I'm assuming you never put anything like that together.
No. Well, first of all, if they wanted to do it, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I just don't want to be the guy that flips the switch on. So, and I would
Fair
be.
enough, yes,
It was.
So the other thing I learned on this TikTok is that you can lower the head of a coffin. Is that true? There's a crank and
yeah, they do. A lot of they started off with metal caskets, but now a lot of the wood caskets are made that way, so that there used to be a lot of concern about the material coming down on the face of Grandpa, or something of that nature. So they fixed that by actually putting mattresses or adjustable beds in the caskets, and you can crank down the head and the foot of the casket, so you can actually crank the bed so the bed will go right down into the. But you can also crank the head so that the head is up and the foot is down.
So there's concern that once the casket is closed, the material may fall on the person's face.
Yeah.
Is that
So well, it's not a big concern of mine, but I don't think I'd like
they're
it.
afraid they're going to suffocate to death or something?
Yeah, so you just crank the head down, and that's what happens now. So when you go to close the casket, we have a sort of like a crank.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you it's got a hex end on it, and you crank it.
You're cranking it so the head is laying flat.
He lays straight
with the
down
body.
flat in the casket.
Okay, yeah.
And then if you have somebody who's too tall for the coffin, you just bend their knees a wee bit, right? Is that what you do?
Yeah, you could. Yeah. Yes. It doesn't happen very often. Caskets are made for they're inside there about 7 feet long inside. Yeah. So and that's all you're worried about. And if you need a little bit more room, and I don't think that I've ever had an occasion where I've had anybody over 7 feet. Their head have been touching the head, the inside of the casket, and you can get a little bit more room sneak a little bit more room by bending the knees, and there's room at the bottom of the casket between that and the curve of the top of the casket to probably get another 2 or 3 inches, sort of thing. So it's I've never had that as a major concern. More of a concern is width than
that makes sense.
length. And in a lot of cases, we end up with having to get what they call an oversized casket, and we all have them. I mean, all of the funeral homes in the area all work together, so we have a pretty good idea of who carries an oversized wood, and who carries a really big oversized wood, and then the same thing with a cloth covered casket, and you can always call one of the funeral homes and you borrow the casket. We say call it borrowed, because I go and I get it, and then I call the manufacturer of the casket and I say, okay, well, send one of these caskets to Barker's funeral home and send the bill to me for it, and that way we all don't have to start to stock these big caskets, because you don't use them that often, sort of thing. But we know where they are. Yeah. So. Yeah. So
another thing that I feel is being lost is cars being pulled over when the procession goes by.
Yeah.
You'll see that more in the country than you will in the city. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You don't see it in the city.
I almost got in an accident once. They don't pull over. Like going through Barhaven, you definitely don't assume that people are going to pull over.
A lot of funerals now are carrying. They have flashing lights on the front of them to let you know that they're coming, sort
purple
of thing. Or
you guys are purple.
Yeah, and our lights are purple. Yeah,
okay.
we have purple lights on our on the roof of our cars. We have flags that you put on the fenders. Big problem with the flags we put on the fenders is they're magnetic, and now you're getting the cars that are coming out are fiberglass hoods and fiberglass fenders, and the magnetics won't stick on them. But you can get them where they'll sit on the window of the car, put the windshield up on the window of the car. But the big thing now are the flashing lights to let you know that there is a funeral coming, and it's going to be slower. We tried when we're on things like the Queensway or 400 highways and what have you. We try very hard to travel at highway speeds, so you don't cause anything that's going to be dangerous. Sort of
Hear that wind?
Yeah, the wind is wild.
Is that the wind?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought it was maybe passing gas.
Yeah, we had issues going down. This was like 20 years ago. Like Prince of Wales was a tough one, but it's tricky, right? If some people don't. They're not expecting it, right? So.
When I first went into funeral service in Ottawa, we were at a wedding in Ottawa on an Anglican church on Laurier Avenue that's now turned into an event center, is what they call it. Beautiful place, just beautiful. But it's been an event center for about 10 years or so. But I took funerals into that church when I worked in Ottawa, and it was on the corner of Laurier, and I think it was called Robinson. There was just a little side street and what have you, and it was it was a difficult church to get into. From number one, had big steps to go up the church, so it was a long one to be carrying a casket in and going up. So, but we all had hearses and limousines. They're all big long cars, no place to park them.
Oh.
See you got the back end of a limousine stuck out on the street someplace, and all elderly people getting in and out of cars. So there are difficulties in the city, but most people are respectful.
Yeah, well, everyone means well.
Are they? Yeah, I think they do.
Well, so maybe some people.
Yeah,
maybe some people.
But I've had people blow the horn at me.
I
on a funeral.
I remember I came out of the co-op one time, and there was a funeral procession going into the Catholic church, the Catholic cemetery. And I pulled over, and this car came flying by, and just like flew by, and the cop was there.
Yeah.
Anyways, he took off. So myself and the another gentleman who was in front of me got out and kind of helped direct the traffic a wee bit. But like, you know, you knew cars were.
Yeah. And it's true. I mean, they and a lot of times, and you know, regarding those people, that they don't know it's a funeral till they're right on it, and then it's too late, and you know, but they should know something's going on because everybody's pulling over. There has to be a reason for it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
Piece it together.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I was going through town the other day, and there was a call, and somebody was coming from Tim Hortons trying to turn onto Spring Street. There was a volunteer firefighter behind them with the lights on, and everybody just kept driving and not letting them letting this car turn on to Spring Street. And they couldn't even, they couldn't get over either because it was like snow and everything like that. Like, people just don't take the time anymore. Like,
Too busy.
so, yeah,
Distracted. Yeah.
too busy, too self-absorbed.
Alamott's getting to the point. Did you ever think that when I came to town in 1973, there wasn't even a traffic light in town? 3 restaurants.
Well, look at when Tim Hortons came, how much
Yeah.
that caused and everything.
Oh,
Anyways,
I believe it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
there was something else I wanted to ask you, and I can't remember what it was now.
that's old age.
I know. I know.
It'll get worse.
I know. Oh, trust me, I know. Yeah. Anyways, I can't remember. But should we do?
Balderdash?
Balderdash?
All right, may as well. Okay.
All right, you go first.
Okay, so my word is gobbledygloop. I'm thinking I'm saying that right. I'm not too sure. So the definitions: secret 19th century surgical procedure where the tongues of convicted blasphemers were removed and replaced with molten lead to cleanse their sins. Gobbledygloop. A mythical creature said to live inside vending machines, stealing your snacks and replacing them with disappointment. All right. And the last definition, gobbledygloop. A playful term for nonsense or meaningless language, often overly complicated or confusing.
Which one?
I really want to say the one about the tongue, but I'm thinking that medieval, they couldn't cut a tongue and cause it to let it because they'd probably die. But
Okay.
I'm going to go with the last one.
Okay.
So will I.
All right. That's the correct term. I think I've never fooled anyone yet. That's like, you can't even try to do that.
God,
That's impressive.
I hate to think I came away from this thing feeling brilliant.
Okay.
I've yet to do it.
Yeah.
I don't think anyway.
No, but that's okay. Nicodonia.
Okay.
Feeling the excitement or pleasure that you feel from anticipating a future success. Nicodonia, an instrument used in plastic surgery to make one's nose more pointy. Nicodonia, an ancient European word used to describe the unsettling feeling of having to pass gas.
I'm going to have to go with the first one on that one.
Me too.
It is.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why you do this. This is fairly easy, isn't it? I would have been inclined to say, what about Slekovich?
What's that?
Slekovich?
Yeah.
It's a word I tried to teach my my granddaughter, and her mother won't let her use it because she thinks it's swearing. And that's because my granddaughter doesn't pronounce the last bit of Slekovich the right way. She's got a B where it's not supposed to be.
So what is the word mean?
Slekovich?
Yeah.
It's a doughhead.
A doughhead?
Like a doughhead, like you're a doughhead.
Like somebody who's not.
Slykovich.
Yeah, it's not exactly playing with a full deck sort of thing, It's,
I call people doughheads all the time.
yeah, so do I. I could call the grandchildren doughhead, and they call me that now. So, yeah.
Yeah. No,
Or dum-dum. It's another
Dum-dum.
word. Yeah.
Dum-dum.
That's a good word. Yeah. So,
yeah. Or it's like bukaka.
That's a good one. I like that. Yeah.
Bukaka. That's that comes from an old movie, Love at First Bite. It's an old comedy, Dracula kind of, and the butler has his tongue was cut out, or he lost his tongue or whatever. So whenever he goes to say bull, he says bullcaca. So I've since I've been a kid. Yeah,
Oh yeah, you say it all the time.
I know.
Yeah, that's like your catchphrase. You need a T-shirt that says that.
I know. Yeah, I need a T-shirt that says a lot of things. a lot of things. Anyways, that's okay. That's okay. So the wind.
Yeah, it's windy.
Actually, I'm sitting in here and I can see through the door. I can see the snow going by, whatever it is. It's going.
I'm waiting for the roof of this tea room to just go flying off.
I'm concerned that we might have to stay here for the night.
Well,
That would make for a very long podcast.
yeah, exactly.
It'd be easy.
We could do like a all nighter one. That'd be fun. Are you in
Am I in?
for doing an all nighter?
No.
Not tonight, but some night.
No.
Oh, come on, it'd be fun. We could do a paranormal one.
Oh, yeah. Maybe down the road, like with that.
What do you call a pair? Where do you get all these words?
Paranormal. It's like spirits. It's like you were starting to tell us how the funeral home is haunted.
I didn't. I told you that, but I said it sounds like it by times because of the upstairs.
I see.
There's five floors in that funeral home, counting the basement.
I remember when I was a kid, I did etiquette for the 80s, and one of the things was going to the funeral home, and you were telling us how there was secret doors and
There are.
and behind the fireplace, you found something behind the fireplace.
And that's true. You go into the fireplace, into what we call the fire. We just totally renovated the funeral home, redecorated it, and what have you. And we had Sarah Gray, who's our aftercare girl, and is also very, very good when it comes to sort of decorating. She has that touch. Mm-hmm. And the other gal was a licensed funeral director. Her name was Tina Walsh. And she was, for a while was a real estate agent, and, so Sarah, actually, and they have excellent ideas in terms of how things should look, and what have you. So we turned them loose on the funeral home, and we've got exposed oak floors now, and, and some of and one of the things that we did was, redid the room where the fireplace is, and in the fireplace room above the fireplace, right at the very top, is a lion's head, carved lion's head, right in the oak. It's made of oak, and I was up there one day with nothing to do, and decided I was going to dust everything from the top to the bottom and put that, what do you call that? Oily wax.
Murphy oil?
Yes, Murphy oil.
Yes, yeah.
And ended up going around this lion, and God, it moved.
Oh my God.
And I was on a ladder at the time, and I was a little nervous, but at the time, so I fooled around with it, and then I actually took it out, and there was a space in behind with all carved in brick, and I thought when it was coming out, listen, I'm going to find a pile of money behind, and I needed it.
A map to treasure
there
or
was
something.
Nothing in there but dust. but it's there. So, and then if you go upstairs onto onto what would be the fourth floor,
Yep.
the roofs the ceiling. The roof is a mansard roof, so the inside of the mansard roof is straight up and down, and then there's the mansard part of the roof going on the outside, and in between is the space. So you could actually, if the walls weren't there between the various rooms, and there's 4 bedrooms up there, and there's 3 bedrooms and a bathroom up there, you could walk right around the building. But they're divided off, and so when we were renovating, I cut a hole in one of those little. No, in 2 of the bedrooms, and I made caves
For the kids.
in there for the kids, and it was a hard thing to do because you couldn't get them out of the damn thing. If I wanted to give them a swat in the bum, and they needed it a lot of times, they'd go in there and hide, and so then anyway. But it was kind of a neat old building that way. So I found an old rifle in there.
I remember you telling me that.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's an old army rifle, and so it was. Guess it maybe a Lee Enfield, weighed a ton. I cannot imagine having run through the war. Now, one of the combas had a member of their family who fought in the First World War, and I suspect that's where the gun came from. What have you? But yeah. weighed a ton. So,
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, yeah.
That's amazing.
John Jay
yeah.
always told me that, like, when he was younger, he can remember that grave robbing was a big problem at the old kirk.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well-
Oh, there's my phone. Yeah.
Was I? Oh,
That was just my phone vibrating.
that's the pipe broke.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. He said it was a bit of a problem.
Well, I never experienced anything like that. Some of them would they'd have a hard time with that now because a lot of the graves are lined in concrete vaults now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And they weigh almost a ton. So so you'd have a hard time getting into one of those.
But when we were talking about cremation, one of the downfalls of cremation is that a lot of people are not putting a tombstone in the cemeteries anymore. So the history of families are being lost
Yeah.
And you don't know where
they are.
Grandpa is. That's
can,
right.
You can still bury the ashes.
Oh yeah.
and-
Yeah. But a lot of people don't, right?
Oh, really?
Because they don't want to have to pay for a plot.
Oh,
like
that makes
plots are
sense.
pretty
Yeah, yeah.
expensive. You know, like
That's true.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't think anybody in the funeral business would ever deny the fact that dying is not a cheap process, for sure.
Yeah.
But living's not a cheap one either. So
we used to, when we were kids, we used to always say ashes to ashes, dust to dust. If gambles don't get you, carries must.
that's right.
Yeah. So, anyways, what time are we at?
We're at an hour and 15 minutes.
I always anywhere between an hour and 8 minutes and an hour and 15
No,
minutes.
that's
I told you it'd go fast. It went fast.
Yeah,
eh?
yeah, you did. Yeah, it was good.
Are you going to come back again?
I'm going to listen to it first.
In the bathtub.
And if my wife and kids will probably, and they'll make the decision. Probably.
It's been great having you on, honestly. This has
it's
been
good being here. It was
fantastic.
kind of
It's a treat.
I can't believe it's an hour and
Yeah.
15 minutes, but then
You're always up for a good laugh, Reg. That's for sure. I remember back a few years. Well, I think this was. Well, now we say pre-COVID or after COVID. I think it was pre-COVID. I don't know if you remember, but I think it was the Strawberry Social up at the old Union Hall, and we were up there one day, and you walked in, and I said in a rather, because it's usually an older crowd that's there, and I said in a rather kind of loud voice as Reg walked in, I said, "Oh, you here scouting out potential customers?"
it's not like you to be loud.
Oh, no, definitely not.
Oh gosh, I've gone to a lot of functions. You have to get used to that, but you don't. You know, you're like, no matter where you go, everybody doesn't know you as Reg Gamble. They know you as the local funeral director. So, that's not a great handle to walk
But
around.
you don't look
with.
like a There's been a couple of people who have been in the funeral business in Almont, and they look like
They've been in the funeral business.
they look like
They fit the part.
you're staring. Oh yeah. I'm not going to mention any names, but I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. You don't know Matt, but Reg does. And it's like if you were to open a magazine of funeral directors, this person would be the center poster of a funeral. What a funeral director would look like.
So and I've for some reason or other I ended up behind microphones, and I have no idea how that happened. But
You have emceed a lot of stuff.
yeah, I have. I emceed 30 Glengarry Highland Games, so that and I didn't really pack that in until I ended up with a heart condition, which I never thought I'd ever have. I enjoyed doing it, and I had fun with it. I met an awful lot of people.
A lot of people go to those.
Great people, and you certainly got to like bagpipes, because if you don't, you're going to go through hell. So
I've been at the games once, and I just had a blast. It was
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah.
I played bagpipes one morning at school. So we have a
You did?
I didn't
No.
play them, no. But we have a screen, and I always hook up a computer, and in the resource room, and we play videos of like live cams of it's like there's a watering hole over in Africa. So you can get to see zebras, and then there's the polar bears and all that. And so lately we've been playing music. and just nice soft music, like classical music, whatever, just to play while the kids are. And the kids actually
Almost like elevator music.
yeah. Or we'll do like classical music to pop songs.
Yeah, yeah.
So one morning I decided I'm going to do the bagpipes. Matt kiboshed that.
You know what? Like, I love the bagpipes, but after, I don't know, 25 minutes of the bagpipes, I'm like, okay, let's just take a little break. You know, we can,
Unless you played competitively, like I played competitively with the Royal Canadian Air Force pipe band for a number of years, and that was a grade 1 pipe band.
Oh, yeah.
We never won the North American Pipe Band Championships, but we placed second one year.
Nice.
Good for you.
And so
You played the bagpipes. I didn't think you'd have enough wind for that.
drums.
Oh, okay.
I should be saying that to you. So no, I played drums.
Okay.
So yeah, and I wanted to play the pipes, but I was too lazy to practice.
They're very difficult.
yeah.
It's very difficult. Eh?
They are difficult.
drums
They're
are-
a cantankerous damned instrument to play for sure.
Yeah.
So, and those people who play them really well
Yeah.
are masters at it, and they've been doing it a long time. And I've been to the World Pipe Band Championships twice now. I think twice. Yeah, twice.
I was held in Scotland.
Yeah, in Glasgow. On Glasgow and the Green. And Gail and I went one year, and Alan Sheffield and I went one year.
And you behaved.
We went to listen to music, and that's where the music is.
Oh, yeah.
200 and some odd pipe bands, and the grade 1 championships are like nothing else you've ever heard. You know, they're
Well, I don't know anybody who can keep a dry eye when they get the bagpipes doing Amazing Grace.
Oh, yeah. I know.
And you know that most pipe bands hate it. Most pipe bands, most pipers hate the song. They don't like playing it at all.
Why?
Don't like it. Everybody calls it. There's a name for it. Pipers call it not Amazing Grace. They amusing gore or something like that. They have a name for it. They don't like it.
Really, eh?
No, there's so many other good laments
Yeah.
that you could play. Really good laments.
But that's the one everyone wants.
That's the one they want.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, that I'm not sure whether it was the Beatles or one of the rock groups made it a classic for whatever reason. Another one is the Mull of Kintyre, which the Beatles made a hit out of. But there are great pieces of Going Home is another great Scottish piece, Lament, and their Highland Cathedral.
Isn't that
I don't know whether we're going to get home tonight. The snowplow comes by here. It's going to be.
It is supposed to snow a bit during the night, so
Yeah.
it's got to warm up because it won't
Well,
snow if it's really cold.
Tomorrow, I put my garbage out the night before, usually, so I don't have to get up good and early in the morning to put it up, and I'll go home and it'll be all over the damn place.
Yeah.
Well,
Especially the
I'll
blue
drop
box.
you off at the end of the driveway so you can pick it up.
No, we'll pick it up in the spring.
There you go. There you go.
So-
Well, any
Thank
other
you.
words of advice?
Thank you. No, keep your powder dry.
Keep your powder dry?
Yeah, you never heard that.
No, I've never heard that.
Oh,
What does that mean?
well, if you've never been out in the war in the fields and what have you, where you used to shoot with muskets, where they used to say keep your powder dry because it's not going to ignite and never fire the.
There you go.
I like that
So-
one. We should start using that one.
I got to tell you, there you go is got to be one of your favorite sayings because you say it 100 times. That's one of the things I noticed. And there you go. you sound like Trudeau. Hallelujah. The Lord works in mysterious ways.
Oh, gosh, I hope not.
Well, it's been fantastic having you on here. Thank you so
It was
much.
kind of fun.
Yeah. I hope
Now,
you-
when did you just recorded this?
Yeah, we just recorded this.
Oh.
I'm about to stop it.
So I can listen to it in the tub.
Yeah, it'll be up later tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll head home.
I won't
and-
be listening to it tonight.
No.
No.
All right. Okay.
Too late for a bathroom.
All right. Anything else, Trace?
No, just as I always say, if you're in the rural area and you see a if you see a vehicle coming towards you with a flashing green light, pull over. It's a firefighter, possibly.
Blue light, flashing blue light, same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, get over and let the plow by.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But always pull over for a flashing green light in a vehicle. It's a firefighter going to possibly save someone's house that you know, or to a serious accident. So bless them. They do wonderful things.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for
Thanks,
tuning in.
Reg.
All right.
We
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Reg.
My pleasure.
All right.
My pleasure. Okay.